I'm going to share with you one of the most profound, and I would argue the only technique, if you will, to solve a persistent problem or a situation that is dire, right? I mean, it's really to solve anything, but I know that when you're in this energy of this is an ongoing problem, this is a big deal, this is something that needs to be resolved, it's time sensitive, etc., it can be easy to really get in that frantic mode and need a quick solution. So after years and years of practicing this, of studying, of learning, of implementing, of coaching, I'm going to tell you what I have discovered to be the most powerful and potent technique. And I'm just going to warn you, it's very simple, so simple that most people overlook it, so simple that most people struggle to believe it. And so what I'm going to do in this short little segment here is do my best to break it down in a way that will help it make sense to your logical mind and give you some practical steps of how you can start implementing it. Essentially, it is to let go. And I know this is like the most difficult thing for humans to do, right? Let's say we have a condition in our bodies that we get very committed to the problem, right? We think I must be stressed out about this. I must keep an eye on it. I cannot relax until this is resolved. It is irresponsible for me to let go of this. I must be hyper-focused on finding a solution, right? Same with money, right? Because let's say with your body, for example, you literally think you're going to die if it doesn't get resolved. And some people may be experiencing this in money, right? You literally are like, well, if I don't figure this out right now or very soon, there's going to be serious repercussions. I'm going to run out of money, which then inadvertently kind of means to yourself that you're going to die or suffer, right? In a very severe way. Some people experience this in love, like they feel like if I cannot get this person in a relationship with me, or if I cannot fix this relationship dynamic, my heart's going to be broken and I'm going to suffer and I just cannot go on, right? So some people can relate with all of these. Some people can relate with just one or several, and this can play out in different areas of your life. But essentially, they all have the same energy at the root of them, which is the ego's deep fear of suffering, of pain, and ultimately death. Some people are more afraid of death. Other people are more afraid of suffering. It kind of just depends on where you fall on the spectrum. And so this primal force, essentially, of the ego that is at all costs committed to not dying or not suffering is actually the very thing that creates the energy that makes you an energetic match to suffering and ultimately to death, to that downward spiral of lack, loss, and death. So the most powerful technique you can ever do, in my opinion and my experience, is to let go. Now, why this is hard is because, like I said, the mind, the logical mind, the ego, the human, is so committed to the problem. It's so energetically intertwined with the problem. It almost identifies as the problem. And it has this energy of, I cannot rest until I solve it. However, when you look at this from an energetic perspective, it's the thinking that got you in the problem in the first place. So let's back up and address a couple truths that may not make logical sense to you, but if you really intend to open your heart as you listen to this, I know it's going to ring true for you. And that is that you are God. And God is love, which means you are love. And God is everything. God is infinite, which means you are everything. You're connected with everything. And you are love. So everything is love, which means you are safe, which means in spiritual truth, you are whole, you are complete, you are lacking nothing. The only way in which you could have an experience of being separate from what you want, experiencing abandonment, experiencing loss, experiencing pain or suffering, is if you dreamed those things. If you dreamed that you were somehow separate, Maya, the illusion, right? So let's think about it this way. When you're in a nightmare, do you fight with the characters, the figments of your imagination in your nightmare dream and say, let me out of here, this is really fucked up, you're wrong? No, your only goal is to just remind yourself, oh, this is a dream, let me wake up. And you don't wake up, you don't release yourself from the dream if you're interacting with it. It's literally just this awareness that comes into your consciousness of, oh, this isn't actually real, and you detach from it and it fades out, and before you know it, you're awake. And so really, when you look at it from that perspective, you understand that there's actually no amount of interacting with the said problem, because it's an illusion, that will produce a result. Literally, the only way to rid yourself of the problem is to wake up from the shitty nightmare where the problems exist. Because actually, the truth is, you don't have problems, you've just forgotten. Does that make sense? So, it really is this simple. This is why we talk about in Law of Assumption that you just assume that you already have it. Live in the state of the wish fulfilled. Well, all of these teachings, when you really get down to the meat and potatoes of it, is that you already are it. There's nothing to get. You've probably heard, I don't chase, I attract. I already am what I desire to be. I already have everything I want. What I want comes to me. It's normal. It's natural. All of these different teachings that kind of fall under this umbrella, what essentially they're trying to do is get you in the state of peace, because you remember who you are. You remember that you're actually not lacking anything. Lack is an illusion. But that's really hard sometimes for the mind to come to grips with. So the technique I want to give you here, and I'm going to explain just a little bit more to kind of bring this full circle, is to get out of the mind. Just like I said, thinking is what created the problem in the first place. The only place that and I quote, I'm doing air quotes, problem exists is in the mind. So the quickest way to release it, the quickest way to wake up and come back to your God state is to release the mind. This is why so many teachers teach meditation. However, so many people, I think, go about meditation in a wrong way. They're still trying to solve something. So there's a couple things I want to address here. One is, how we were talking about living in the end, embodying the state of the wish fulfilled, essentially coming back to remembrance of the fact that you are God, you are lacking nothing. When you do that, and you can do that through so many techniques, right? Like if you're someone who's earlier on in your journey and you need techniques, you can check out my program, Manifestation Mastery. It's under my self-paced programs. I give you a lot of different techniques and work through releasing resistance, all of these things. But essentially, all of those things you do is to get you to embody the state of the wish fulfilled. And what does that feel like? Because the goal here is to eventually get out of the mind and get to a feeling. But so many people have a hard time just dropping the mind. This took me several years of practicing to actually be able to, on the spot, just snap my fingers and drop out of my mind. I can do it now on cue, which is amazing. But we can use our minds in a way that's constructive to get us to the feeling. And that's what the techniques are for. But essentially the goal from all the practices, whether it's meditation, whether it's visualization, whether it's affirmations, are to get you in a state of peace, which is a state of non-resistance. And the reason you're not resisting is because you get out of the mind and you get into your body, you get into a feeling which is relaxed. So the second part I want to explain here about this, about understanding being in that resistance-free state, is understanding that literally the only thing holding your current reality in place is tension. Okay? So the more that you can physically relax, this is why, you'll hear a lot of us speaking about working with your nervous system, just letting go, just relaxing, just breathing, just being present. As you do that, what you're doing is you are essentially allowing your higher mind to take over. This is what happens by default when you let go of your lower mind, your ego, your conscious mind. Now, where I've seen a lot of people, and I've experienced myself too, getting hung up on this is when we've been traumatized by religion, essentially, and authority, and thinking that, God is some entity outside of us that wants to control us, that can't be trusted, where we need to act a certain way, or God's going to be displeased. If that's your idea of God, it's going to be very hard to let go, because ultimately you don't trust. But when you can land back in knowing, or at least you educate yourself and retrain yourself to remember, no, actually, I'm everything, I'm God. You realize that it's all you, it's all love. So by default, you're safe to let go. It's going to be a lot easier to let go, regardless of how you get there. And for some people, they may be able to just jump into releasing the lower mind and just trusting and relaxing and allowing. Some people may need techniques and retraining to get there. But regardless of how you get there, once you get there, you are allowing your higher mind, the truth of who you are, the infinite intelligence within you, to take over. And what happens is that infinite intelligence reorders things. That infinite intelligence is not limited by time and space. That's why people, when they get into the state, will often say things just turned around so quickly. People call it a miracle, but really what it is you returning to your natural state. So I intend that this made sense. This was my explanation. And I want to leave you with a technique of how I would suggest doing this, especially if maybe you're not in the habit of doing this. So whatever tool you like to use that. You want to make sure you're getting into your body and out of your mind as best you can. And you want to not be trying to fight your mind, because you will find likely that the more you try to not think thoughts, the louder your mind gets. What I mean is to sit long enough until you find the space of peace and quiet and stillness beyond the mind. Okay, so it is sort of like meditation. However, you're not really trying to accomplish anything. You're just going to sit or lie down or just be still and focus on your breath. Soften your body. You may like to use some sort of binaural beats or maybe a subliminal meditation or something to get into that space. I like to use those tools. I create a lot of them. I have a subliminal meditation channel that will be linked below. You can check it out if you'd like. And just really allow yourself to calm down. Focus on relaxing the body. Any thoughts that come up, you don't need to engage with them. You just intend to find the stillness that is kind of like the container for all the craziness of the mind and any other noises that are going on around you. And you just land in that. And you can, if you want, remind yourself of some of these truths of I'm safe, I'm protected, I'm provided for, my word is law, all of this is me, I don't need to be afraid, I'm powerful, I am powerful, I remember my power, right? You can use some of these statements, but ultimately just getting into a space of just deep relaxation. And really, really, I want to stress softening your body. So you can go through and notice where you're holding tension. You've probably heard this in guided meditations, like notice where in your face you're holding tension and relax that. Where in your body feels tight, relax that. And just allow yourself to be. And the more you practice this, the deeper you'll go, the more quickly you'll be able to tap into this state. And it's going to feel very calm. It's going to feel like peace. It's going to feel like relief. You're going to feel expanded. As you start to practice this on a consistent basis, you're going to start feeling your energetic centers opening up and coming online. When we're in a state of fear, when we're acting from trauma, when we're in survival mode, we're very tight. So this actually is the perfect point for me to close with. You'll know when you're in fear because you're going to feel tight. You're going to feel stressed. Your mind's going to be going a million miles a minute. You're not going to be thinking good thoughts. You're not going to be feeling good. You're going to notice you're holding your breath. Your stomach's tight. Your jaw's tight. Your muscles are tight. You just don't feel good. When you relax and you just breathe, soften, remind yourself that you're okay. You literally are training yourself to get out of that fight or flight mode and remember that you are God. You are safe. It's okay to open up. When you do that, you're connecting to the truth of who you are, which is love. We talked about this in the beginning. And love is the energy that transforms everything. It will transmute fear. Divine love will heal your body. It will heal your nervous system. It will heal your mind. It will heal your heart. It will erase the past. It will dissolve and resolve unwanted patterns. It will reorder your mind. It will restore divine order and balance to every single area of your life. And again, you are that. You are God. You are one with everything. You are love. So what this is really a surrendering the false identities, the identities that you've unconsciously bought into of being anything other than perfection, anything other than divine love, anything other than power. Any type of belief in separation is false. And that's why it feels so terrible. So as you naturally allow yourself to relax, open up, and expand, what you're doing is connecting with your God self. You're living in the end. You're embodying the state of the wish fulfilled. You're aligned with love. You're embodying and anchoring in more peace. You're opening up and expanding, which means you will be experiencing more and more connection and integration with the world around you, and the way you interact and experience the world changes because you're allowing more love in. You're allowing yourself to embody more of who you are. Again, you're everything. And so if you could just practice this, just relaxing, softening, getting out of the mind and getting into your body and anchoring in this deep peace, this stillness, without trying to figure anything out, just allowing the divine love that you are to reorder your thoughts, reorder your mind, rearrange things for you, you're going to notice things in your body heal. You're going to notice problems resolve themselves. You're going to notice that you're naturally having better thoughts. Yes, there's a time and a place for intentionally affirming, but it's no good if you're going to affirm all day if you're not going to actually practice peace. You have to actually practice it. The whole reason we affirm is to get to a feeling. But I'm sharing with you today, you can just go straight to the feeling. This has been such a game changer for me along my journey. And I know it will be for you too. So I intend that this made sense. I'm sending you love. If you would like to check out any of my programs, you can or my other channels, you can check it. Everything will be linked down below. I'll talk to you soon.